Good afternoon, everyone. If you could get your drinks and final plates of food, we start making your way to your seats. We'll get started here momentarily, please. I didn't turn on mine.
Got it. All right. So forget how it's spelled. This has sense.
Silence your phone bit. Okay.
We've met.
Yes, we have. Jenny McJunkin.
Okay, yes we have.
Yes.
I remember sitting next to you at a city council meeting, but I'm sorry.
That's okay.
You're the only man in uniform here tonight.
Give me a shovel. So Lisa's proposed reading healthy.
I don't use this. Lots of pictures I don't use.
See that tomorrow. Photoshop it out. We could all take our seats, please. Thank you. We'd like to thank everyone for being here this evening, and we'd like to start this evening out with our invocation with Pastor Mike McGowan. Please, Mike.
Yeah, if you'll stand, please. Bow your heads. Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight, and we thank you for the opportunity that we have in our country to listen to candidates express their ideas, their thoughts, their plans. And I ask that you would give each of us ears that we may hear exactly what they're saying, and you would give us wisdom to discern who we each think would be the best candidate to vote for. And so I ask that you would give the candidates clarity of speech, clarity of thought, transparency in answering the questions, and that you would help each of us to listen carefully, and that their answers would give us guidance on the decision to make in the upcoming election. So I pray that you would do all of this tonight. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor Mike. And now we like to bring up Scout First Class Ben Smith to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please remain standing.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ben. We really appreciate it. Please have a seat. Thank you. Well, my name is Don McCoy, and I'm the Executive Director of the Fulshear Area Chamber of Commerce. And on behalf of the Fulshear Area Chamber of Commerce and its Board of Directors, we'd like to thank each of you for coming out this evening. We hope that this event will serve you to better inform you, the Fulshear electorate, and provide each one of you a clear picture of each of the candidates. This event is the result of hard work by a committee of 4 individuals who over the last several months have strived to put together a fair and unbiased forum so that each candidate has the same opportunity to answer questions that were submitted by the voters. We'd like to recognize them at this time, if you please. Will the committee members please stand? And that's Kay. We have Kay here. Let's give her a hand. There you are. Thank you. Daniel in the back, Daniel Van Holten. Thank you, Daniel. I know Colette Horton. Where's Colette Horton, thank you very much. And there's one more, Laverne Patterson, who couldn't be here tonight. But we want to really thank you very, very much for all your hard work. This is no easy task, so we really appreciate it. We'd like to recognize some elected officials in the audience. Let's see, we have, please, where Tricia Krennick, there she is, we had right here. Tricia Krennick, City Councilwoman. Any other elected official? Oh, of course, our mayor is here, Mayor Tommy Kirkendall. Is there anyone else? And candidates for election, please stand up and say hello. Ms. BJ and Mr. Cohen. Thank you, Mr. Cohen. Thanks for being here. We really appreciate it. Also, this event would not be possible at all if it was not for our sponsor, and that would be Commercial State Bank. Thank you very much. They've done this each and every year. We started this, and they've always been there to back us up. And by the way, it's in that bank is where you'll find the Chamber of Commerce office. So you can come by and say hi to me and Amy anytime. Also, we'd like to thank Keith and Jason LeBlanc of First Cup Cafe. They supply coffee all the time, not just to this, but I see them everywhere. They give back to the community, so I hope that you go back and give to them and try their coffee and sandwiches. They're fantastic. Also, Center Court Pizza, who gave us the pizza tonight, and let's give them a nice round. They're delicious pizza. I hope you go see Sean Monday. Yes, on Monday, I think he gives you a special deal. That's why his name is Sean Monday, but try that. And then also Rachel, the Realtor Durham. Where's Rachel? There's Rachel, stand up there, please. There you go. Rachel has supplied, she's with Keller Williams Realty, and she's supplied all the sodas and the bottled water. Thank you very much, Rachel, we appreciate it. All right, we have a format tonight where the candidates on stage will be in order of their last name, and each candidate will get 3 minutes to respond to each question asked. Each candidate will then be given 2 minutes for their closing statements, and there will be no questions tonight taken from the floor or the audience, if you will. There will also, in an effort to provide as much time as possible to the candidates to answer your questions, we ask that you refrain from any applause until the end of the event. Now, we'd like to introduce also our moderator this evening is Pastor Mike McGowan with Fellowship Church. Thank you very much. And also our timekeeper, Coach Osler Fleming. Right here. Thank you, Coach. With our new coach of the Churchill Fulshear High School. So there you go. Did you bring a whistle tonight? Last time he had a whistle. It's just like a coach to bring a whistle. It was awesome. And also I want to thank Fulshear.com, who is streaming this live tonight. So if folks aren't here and you have friends at home and you'd like to text them real quick, let them know that they can go to Fulshear.com and watch this live if they like to. And we'd like to thank Dan McJunkin right there with Fulshear.com. And of course his beautiful wife, Jenny. She helps all the time, Jenny. Thank you so very much. We appreciate it. And let's see, if there's anything else I'm missing, please raise your hand because I'm not perfect at this at all. So I want to make sure we have recognized everybody. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Pastor McGowan to introduce our candidates.
All right, before we go any farther, this would be a really good time for everyone, if you would take your cell phone and put it on silent so that you don't disturb the rest of the proceedings tonight. And we at the table will do the same thing. We'll make sure we put ours on silent, and then we'll move forward. Okay, the first candidate we have tonight is our current mayor, Tommy Kirkendall. Thank you, sir. Glad that you're here tonight. Let's give him a round of applause. And then the other candidate, Jeff Roberts. Are you here tonight? Mr. Roberts? Okay. Mr. Roberts isn't here, so we will give you a chance to answer each and every question, including an opening statement and a closing statement, because you know what? Voters here need to know exactly where you stand on these very same issues. So thank you for making the time in your calendar to come tonight. I know that's not always easy, especially with your calendar and the commitments that you keep. So we will let you go ahead and begin with an opening statement for 2 minutes.
Okay. First of all, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the Chamber of Commerce for organizing the candidate forum. I'd like to thank the members of the committee who collected the questions and put together the questions for tonight, and also the moderator and the timekeeper. I do appreciate the time and effort that you've invested in this. I'm here tonight to ask you to vote for me again for the upcoming 2-year term. I've served the city of Fulshear since the year, 2010. And so I definitely have enjoyed the opportunity to serve Fulshear. It's been an honor and a privilege. We've accomplished so much together, but there's so much more to do. Also, I'd like to thank my wife here, Rhonda, who's with me, and also my son, Ty. They've been very supportive. Anytime that you run for office, you don't do it in a vacuum, and you don't do it alone. So we've considered this carefully before filing for re-election. And so I'm here tonight to ask you for your vote. Early voting starts April the 25th, and the election day is May the 7th.
Excellent, thank you. And since Mr. Roberts is not here, I would encourage everyone to refer to the handout that you received tonight, or that's available in the back, so you can read about his profile and his bio. With that said, we're going to go ahead and begin with the questions tonight. And if Mr. Roberts shows at any point, we will let him join where we are in the proceedings. We will not go back and ask any prior questions. So that's just how we're going to have to run it tonight. Again, Mr. Mayor, you will have 3 minutes to answer each question. The timekeeper will give you your time, and so you'll be able to stay on task. Question number 1, just 2 general questions to begin with. The first one is this, is that with your current employment obligations and commitments, will you be able to necessarily give the time to fully support the city of Fulshear and its goals? And will you have the time to adequately prepare for each council meeting so that you can make an educated vote on all the issues that are presented?
You know, whenever you run for a political office, as I did in 2010, you don't do that without giving it some serious consideration. I worked on the Planning Commission for 8 years prior to being mayor, and so that was a huge time commitment. My kids were younger at the time. I had a family. I'm a civil engineer, so I have a regular job. And so I learned how to handle my responsibilities and adjust my schedule accordingly to put the priorities where they needed to be. When I became mayor in 2010, one thing that we were able to do was expand our administration at the city. And so I've had some great help in leading the city. I still have manage a firm in Houston, an engineering and surveying firm. That does take time, but I'm in a position where I can adjust my schedule, and I have managed to make all of the meetings necessary for the city. In the last 6 years, I haven't missed a single city council meeting. And so I do put the priority of the city of Fulshear where it rightly belongs. I would not be here today asking you to vote for me if I wasn't committed to the city of Fulshear. I prioritize the city. I do have a wonderful family. My oldest daughter is at Texas A&M. She's out of the nest. My son graduates from Foster High School this year, so we'll be moving him up to Sam Houston State. I think my wife would probably like me to stay out of the house a little bit more than likely. She doesn't want me meddling with her affairs. But I think my record can speak for itself, that I'm committed to the city. I'll make the schedule happen for meetings or appointments or whatever takes place. This past Monday, we actually had a flood here in the city, if you didn't know that. We activated our emergency management center, and I spent all day Monday managing the emergency operations with our emergency management coordinator and all of the city staff. They did a great job. But when you serve the city, you have to react when you're called upon and take that responsibility seriously, and that's what I'll do.
Excellent, thank you so much. Okay, question number 2. What volunteer activities or groups have you or are you currently involved with?
When we moved out to the city of Fulshear in 2000, there were probably about 700 people here. Now there are about 8,000. And at that time, you had really not many nonprofit groups and groups working in the community. But as we've grown to the population of 8,000, we have so many wonderful groups that work here in the city of Fulshear, and the city would not be where it's at today without them. I've worked hand in hand with all of our residents on Keep Fulshear Beautiful event days. I think I've done at least 8 of those. I've supported Bike for Mike. The seniors, the Fortman seniors meet here in this room. My family and I, each Christmas, we do a Christmas gift exchange with them. The first time we did that, it was kind of like the white elephant gift. So I wasn't sure if I was going to create maybe a fight between them, wanting different gifts, but it actually turned out great. And it was a great service project, not only for myself, but for my kids, and trying to instill that within them. I think when you're the mayor, you have a much more of a responsibility to the community, to use your position to help promote groups that we have here that are working hard on behalf of the community, whether that's Bike for Mike. I've visited with the Girl Scouts, the local Boy Scout troops, talked to them about leadership, the city of Fulshear. I've emceed Child Advocates Breakfast, and most recently Texana is building a campus here in Fulshear, and I served as MC for their initial fundraiser and kickoff. And so as the mayor, if I can help those efforts and those causes, those are the things that make us a whole community. I mean, you can have rooftops and you can have some streets and a few other things, but without restaurants and the Lions Club and the Rotary Club, and more importantly, I've been a huge supporter of the formation and development of the Fulshear Area Chamber of Commerce. So they've been wildly successful. They've created just a huge excitement about the businesses here. Again, I didn't do that, but I support it wholeheartedly and work with them every chance I get. Thank you.
Excellent. Now we want to move to 3 questions about the Home Rule Charter. I'm sure that you're familiar with that. So the first of those questions is, can you support the Home Rule Charter as it is currently written? Why or why not?
The Home Rule Charter is an important step in Fulshear's evolution as a city. We put together a group of 13 individuals, the Home Rule Charter Commission, that worked many, many hours digging and learning about home rule charters. They studied other home rule charters from our neighboring cities like Katy, Richmond, Sugar Land, Missouri City. I attended most of their meetings and listened to their discussion. The committee that we put together had people that hadn't lived here very long, but also had some old timers on it as well, and knew Fulshear's history and knew where we had come from. And I think in the end, they put together a great document that I believe will benefit Fulshear moving forward, and I support that document. That document will actually bring local control to the residents of Fulshear. If you look at other cities like Katy, Sugar Land, Richmond, and Rosenberg, they're thriving, they're growing, they're prospering, and when they reached that population of 5,000, they took that next step and became a home rule city. The Home Rule Charter, again, gives, I think, the residency more power than it will ever have. Initiative, referendum, and recall. Those are 3 things that the citizens will have to ensure that your elected officials are accountable to you. Initiative being, if there's an ordinance or some resolution you want to bring forward to your community, and your city council and the mayor are not listening to you, you can get a petition of 10% of the registered voters and force that to a ballot and have the electorate vote on that. A referendum is maybe your city council does something that you're not really fond of. You think they've gone maybe too far with an ordinance. You can actually put that on the ballot in the same manner and actually have a referendum to remove it from the city's books and ordinances. And recall, is when you have an elected official that may be out of control. It takes a little bit higher threshold of 20% of those voters to petition. And if you put that to a ballot, you can actually remove that elected official from office. And I think the goal of the Home Rule Charter with those mechanisms is that you don't ever have to use it. And that would be my hope, that we're electing a mayor and city council members that are going to listen to the public. And these mechanisms are just a little bit of accountability on the side. And if we know that's there, I think we'll listen to the electorate.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. This follow-up question is that there are voting districts associated with this that have been a topic of great discussion. In your opinion, well, actually, what is your opinion of that section of the Home Rule Charter?
The districts have been a very hot topic, so I think that's an understatement. But when you look at Fulshear's growth, we're at 8,000 residents now. When the Charter Commission talked about districts back and forth, there was a case that was out there in the Supreme Court, Evanwell versus Abbott, and they weren't sure if they were going to have districts set on population or registered voters. That decision has been handed down, and it was unanimous from the Supreme Court. Districts will be based on population. And so we have, currently it's proposed there's 5 districts, single-member districts in the city of Fulshear. And those would break out in those 8,000 residents, about 1,600 residents each. And so if you're a resident and you want something done at city council, or you want a city council person to, look after your needs, your issues, your concerns, if they're answering to 1,600 people versus the whole 8,000, I think you're going to get much more focused response and interest from your local council member. So I think it takes the authority and the control back to the resident. We do have 2 at-large seats. Those were set up with potential other restrictions that council could put on those. And that was primarily looking at, the Voting Rights Act and the Department of Justice. We do have a segment of our population in the downtown that are a minority group. They have historically been on city council. They are no longer on city council. So if there would be a challenge from a particular group or another, the city council has some flexibility to place other restrictions on that. But I think the districts will be a great thing for the residents of the city moving forward.
Okay. If the residents adopt the Home Rule Charter, there would be an opportunity to change it after 2 years. Is there anything that you think that you would want to change?
The Home Rule Charter, again, I believe the commission did a great job in crafting the Home Rule Charter. We have other examples in Katy, Richmond, Rosenberg, and Sugar Land. Richmond adopted theirs in 2013, and they're actually going through a Home Rule Charter revision process this year. So again, if the voters will adopt that this year, we're going to put it into place and see how it works. I believe that we have a great chance of success, and it's a great document and it will work fine. But we're growing so rapidly. Over the last 8 years, we've grown 800%. So as we grow, those districts will need to be reassessed and remapped, and we'll use demographic experts to do that, and everything would be based on population.
Excellent. Okay, now we have a question about parks. Currently, the city has no facilities for organized Little League, soccer, etc. So what actions would you take to remedy this situation?
I think parks and the quality of life are something that we have to focus on as a community. Our master plan communities have done a great job with parks and with trails. In 2013, we hired Kinde Keys Collaborative to develop a comprehensive plan. That plan actually links together those trails and those parks from the master plan communities so that we can have one community as a whole and not one subdivision and another subdivision. I was fortunate enough to be able to appoint the Parks and Recreation Commission, and they've done a great job. We've made great strides. When you come out of the Irene Stern Center here tonight, and you look to your left, again, it's not a huge park, but it's a quality park. And that's been a collaborative effort from our development corporations. We've used park fees from our developments, our per lot fees. And we've also had the Parks and Recreation Commission put in the pollinator garden. And so this is what we have to do, is work together. Fortunately, this past year, we actually had Sig and Patricia Cornelius. They approached the city and donated 10 acres of land to us, and really just to the north of the heart of downtown. And that's where we desperately need parks and recreation areas. We currently have the Parks and Recreation Commission charged with developing a plan. We have a park planner. The Corneliuses are working together with us. That is called Primrose Park. And my intent is to have a survey of the residents in the city of Fulshear and in the downtown area to see what amenities they want there. We're also seeking additional land. We've made offers on property in the city that will make great parkland and trail land for the future. Land is very expensive, but the city as an organization has made a commitment to funding those efforts, and we're pursuing property at this time.
Excellent. All right, this is a bit of a loaded question given the recent events. It starts out like this. Water is a huge issue. Shocker, right? But specifically, not floodwater, but with the mud districts, not only are taxes high, but honestly, water rates are exceptionally high. So what's your long-range vision to ensure that Fulshear has the kind of water options to meet the tremendous growing demand while keeping the water rates as low as possible?
Water rates, let's see, you couldn't give me an easier question? You know, in 2010, again, we didn't have many residents here, not as many as we have today. And the water system in the downtown area actually had quite a huge loss in revenue for the year. And my goal in establishing water and sewer rates was to make sure that an operation that the city has and a service that a resident is buying will sustain itself. There's no reason that our property tax should be paying for the water bill for a commercial development in the downtown area. And that's what was happening. As we're gaining population, there's more and more customers to the water system. We want to look at the water system and see if we can't reduce those rates. But one thing that we're doing is making some structural changes to the water and the sewer system. For the water meters, we're going to an automated meter reading system. There was the accountability and the trust in the meter readings and the bills that the residents were getting. There was no trust there. And so we have to gain that back. So we're putting in the automated meter reading systems. It will transmit the data directly back to the city. We'll have a web portal where the customer can view their bill and their usage. It may not be exactly instantaneously, but within a few hour period, you'll be able to see what type of water usage you're having. And I think if we can first gain that trust back, make some improvements in how we read those meters, take the human error out of it. Because I tell you, we had meter readers that said we were 97.6% accurate. And then I have a resident that's telling me my bill was down here, now it's up here. That doesn't give me a good feeling as the mayor of the city of Fulshear. And so this will have a very accountable system, a reliable system. We currently have 2 separate water and sewer systems or enterprise funds. My goal would be to bring those together someday through working with those developers. And if we can bring those together, we can bring our water rates down as low as they can be. But again, the system has to just be self-sustaining. We don't want to make a lot of money. We have to be able just to maintain the system and keep up the system and expand the system as necessary. We're also selling water to areas in the ETJ, like at Fulshear Lakes, out just north of Weston Lakes. And so that will actually be more of a customer base to the downtown or Old Town system. and that'll help it sustain itself from a revenue standpoint.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Mayor, let me ask you a few questions about economic development. How does your business experience help attract businesses and commercial developments to the Fulshear area?
Can you repeat the question?
Sure. How does your business experience help attract businesses and commercial developments to the Fulshear area?
I think my experience here with the city, is really the experience that I have to attract businesses. As far as, trying to bring a business here, being a small business owner, I understand some of the pains that you go through, the taxes that you pay, all the insurance. It's expensive to open a business and run a business. I understand that. And so from that perspective, that makes me want to ensure that we control our permitting fees, that we try to make the permitting process as painless as it can be. There's a reason for permits, to ensure that things are done according to code and according to standards. So I think from the business background, I understand the struggles and the trials that a small business owner faces on a day-to-day basis. I think just my experience here in the city, listening to the residents and participating in, International Council of Shopping Center conferences, building relationships with Ace Hardware, with Sprouts, with Dunkin' Donuts, and all of those places that people want out here will help me actually attract businesses here.
Excellent. And then what is your plan to help improve the permitting process and the fees?
The current permit schedules that we have in place today, I believe, I stand to be corrected, but I think it was in the year 2012 that those were adopted. And so to my current knowledge, those haven't been increased or changed since then. We do have a lot of permits being applied for. We have a lot of inspections being done. When I became mayor, we didn't have a full-time building inspector. We had a contract person that had a full-time job somewhere else, and then we had some other contract inspection firms that were doing the work for us. And I believe with those services, we can do those better ourselves in-house. We can be more responsive to it. So we have grown the permitting department with the building official, inspectors, and administrative staff. I'm open to look at our permitting fees. I have heard that comment over the campaign here with our pool fees. I need to research that, because one thing you have to do is make sure that you're comparing apples to apples. There are some cities who have a permit fee, but they don't have inspections included in that. Whereas Fulshear has the permit fee and it includes some inspections in it. So again, we want that service to pay for itself, and that's really all that we need. We want it to pay for itself. But as far as improvements go, we're trying to bring ourselves up on many fronts into the 21st century. In the past, you had to submit paper copies of everything, multiple copies of everything. We've started a process of looking at an automated and online permitting system. If we can do that, those small businesses that are trying to move into the city of Fulshear, they can actually submit those permits online. When our inspectors go out and inspect their work, they'll enter that directly into an iPad. They'll take pictures of any deficiencies, and that individual will know immediately whether they passed or they failed. I know that the permitting process can probably sometimes seem onerous, and like we don't want to get anything done, but I assure you that we want business to thrive here, and whatever it takes to do that, from improving our technology, reviewing our fees if we need to do that. If we're out of line, then I'm open to look at that, and that's my perspective.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much. Let me ask one question about city financing. Given the Johnson Development Agreement for Cross Creek Ranch, do you have any views on how to secure financing for future city and municipal projects?
The city of Fulshear does face some challenges with funding. And so I think it's important that we have to build relationships and go after funding wherever that may be. One recent example, we submitted for a grant from HGAC for a livable center study. That's not exactly a piece of infrastructure, but it's helping us lay the groundwork for a livable city, a walkable city, and a whole city. And so we were able to do that successfully using our consultant, Kindig Keys Collaborative. They helped us put that together. Again, I've tried to build great relationships with our county commissioner and our state representatives and senators. The last Fort Bend County Mobility Bond Program, we were able to get the expansion of Katy Fulshear Road and the reconstruction and extension of Huggins Drive all the way over to FM 359. And that's going to be vitally important because we're putting in the new high school, the junior high. Just dropping off kids at Huggins Elementary is a challenge right now. And so we need Huggins Drive to connect over to FM 359. And another project, it wasn't on our city council agenda this week, but I hope it'll be on next month, is the Texas Heritage Parkway. We have to use our public-private partnerships and collaborate together. This will connect FM 1093 all the way up to I-10 at Peterson Road. And that's one that actually, there's probably 9 or 10 landowners that had come together and were in agreement on this Texas Heritage Parkway. And if you've ever worked with developers and landowners to get 9 of them aligned at one time, it'll probably never flood again if that ever happens again. So they were together. A portion of this roadway is in the city of Katy, a portion of it's in Fort Bend County in our ETJ, and a portion of it's in the city of Fulshear. So what we're doing is we're collaborating with these landowners. They've paid for the preliminary engineering. They've put their money where their mouth is. They put up $1 million to make that happen. Now that we've got a plan, we have to fund it. The developers are looking to pay half of it. The city of Katy is paying for half of the road in their jurisdiction. The county is paying for their half across our ETJ, and then the city of Fulshear needs to fund our part in our city limits. And so working together as a partnership, we can accomplish these things. And that's what we have to do, is work together.
Excellent, thank you so much. Now, let's wrap it up with the last section with just some general questions, of which there are 5. The first one of these is that at any point in your tenure as mayor, have you or the firm that you have worked for received government contracts with municipalities or entities within Fort Bend County? And do you feel the need to recuse yourself from those processes as an elected official within that same jurisdiction? That was a long question. Do I need to do that one again?
I think I
You got it? Okay.
You know, I'm proud that I'm a civil engineer. I'm not going to shy away from that. And I believe that the city of Fulshear has been a beneficiary for my expertise and my experience and the relationships that I have. I've heard some criticism that I do work in Rosenberg, in Missouri City, and for Fort Bend County. I've worked for the last 30 years with public sector clients. I worked for TxDOT for 12 years. So I started in a governmental role myself. We don't pursue private work. Those processes are set out to be fair and to be open and to be equitable. As far as engineering services go, you can't bid those services out. You go through a qualifications process. If it's again, a normal contract, you would submit qualifications to the entity you're pursuing work for, whether that's Rosenberg or TxDOT. I turned in a set of qualifications today for a TxDOT project. Well, what we do is we answer questions. We put our team out there, that they're scored and graded, and then they have a scoring sheet, and sometimes you come out on top, but a lot of times you don't, but you keep going after those jobs. And so I don't believe it's a conflict of interest at all. or there's anything unethical about it. Anything that I've done for any city or for any county, it's a matter of public record, and I encourage you to go look at that. I'll be glad to talk to you about that. I think Fulshear's really been the beneficiary of my experience and some of the relationships that I do have. I can bring, I've learned from other cities. We don't have to make the same mistake. And so I'm proud of that. That as the leader of the city, we set a high ethical standard. When we brought in our city administrator, he's part of the Texas City Managers Association, and they have some of the highest ethical standards that you'll see. Under my administration, we actually conducted the first city employees ethics training course in the history of this city. So we strive for a high ethical standard from the police department all the way down. And so I'm really sorry that there's a few who think, my reputation should be besmirched, but I'm not going to back down from that. And, I'm here to be an open book to the public.
Okay, thank you. All right, Mr. Mayor, as the city grows, leadership is essential beyond your strengths as an individual contributor. So what is it that makes you a good leader?
I think one of the things that you'll find out, and again, I've been doing this for 6 years, so I think the public here in Fulshear, they know who I am. And, I'm not here to get the accolades. I would much rather our city staff, who are doing the work day in and day out, like Monday when we had our emergency situation with all of the flooding. We had all of our departments working together. At our city council this week, I recognized those departments, whether it was the police department, our utility billing office, or our courts, our economic development director, she was there at the table. And so we all pull together, and they do a great job. And I would much rather they get the accolades than myself. I think one thing you'll find is it's not my way or the highway. I listen to people. I try to understand each individual person and, convince them of what we're doing and the direction that we're headed. So I think that just, understanding individuals and then wanting to give the credit where the credit's due, especially to our city employees.
Okay, great, thank you. Mr. Mayor, if reelected, how would you bridge the perceived gap between Cross Creek Ranch and the rest of Fulshear?
I did come to the council forum last week. And I did like a couple of the ideas really that were there. I think it summed it up. There's a lot more friction that's out there in social media. And that's really my opinion. Because when you're out, right now we're out knocking doors, trying to ask people to vote for you, and everyone's just so nice. They treat you with respect. When you look someone eyeball to eyeball, I don't know that problem really exists as much as it appears to on Facebook. However, I've actually been proactive in trying to work on some of those perceived issues. Back in 2010, we probably had 2 committees working for the city, the development corporations and the planning and zoning. As I mentioned, I was able to appoint the Parks and Rec Commission. We have the Architectural Design Committee. We have the Tree Committee. We have the Sign Committee. So if you look at that whole structure, again, back in 2000 to 2010, it's like a homeowners association. You have the same group of people that have to do everything. But we have about 50 people total now working across the board. And about half of those people are from the newer developments, and about a half are from, older developments or have been here longer. And I did that very intentionally. My thought was that the people who had lived in downtown for a long time, if they could sit across the table from the new person in Cross Creek Ranch, they would see each other's differences. Nothing wrong with that. I always use like trash pickup as an example. You have the person who's lived here forever who says, why can't I burn my trash in the backyard in the barrel? I've done it for 50 years. Then you have the new young family who says, I want trash pickup twice a week. I want you to pick up my yard clippings. I want recycling, and I want diaper service. And those two things are not wrong, either one of them, but they're different. And so my thought process was, if you can understand each other's differences, we can bridge that gap together. And that was very intentional on my part, and I've stressed that to our city administrator, and we've worked to make that happen.
Excellent. Thank you so much. All right. What is your view on commissions and committees? You know, essentially, should city council members be allowed to be active voting members on city commissions and committees, or should they be present as liaisons only?
I think you're trying to get me in trouble here, aren't you? You know, this didn't come up until recently. We had a couple of members who were on committees who got elected to city council. And to be honest with you, I didn't really even think about it at that moment. But as you know, time has gone on, we have a tremendous amount of talent here in the city of Fulshear and the residents that we have. We have plenty of applications that are coming in that they want to help and serve the city. And so, you know, as I look at it today, I think the best bet in appointing committees and boards would be to have the residents as the voting members of the committee, and then have council members as a liaison. I think that's an important role. You know, if a council member comes as a liaison, they can actually, when the council's back discussing that item, they can give some perspective on what happened with the committee. But they're not deciding on something in one body that they're gonna essentially rubber stamp for the other body. So as a general rule, I would say that would probably be the most beneficial way to go. The exceptions that I've seen to that, especially in other cities as well, is your development corporations. You know, those, they have sales tax coming in. They're going to possibly enter into development agreements. They may be buying property. And so you see city council members serving on those two particular bodies more often than not. And so I think in that case, it's reasonable for that to happen. But for the other general committees, I think best practices would be for the residents to staff those.
Excellent. Okay, Mr. Mayor, this is the last question before your closing statement. Would you support a policy of putting a draft ordinance on the city's website 72 hours prior to council meetings?
You know, we've come a long way with transparency. I remember when, I don't think we even had a website, so ours needs some improvement, so I'm not going to say it's perfect. But if you go on there now, you'll see all of the financial statements, the whole list of bills that we vote on every month, from the smallest item to the biggest thing we purchase. You'll be able to see that for yourself and see exactly what every council member sees. So I think the shining the light and having transparency is the way to go. You know, I wasn't sure about that a few years ago, because it's like, okay, you're gonna have this agenda, you've got all this backup information, you know, council may change it before it's actually voted upon and approved. But I believe that it's important to get the information out there, let the voters and the residents see that information. Not only with ordinances would I support it, but I hope to move to a system where our agenda is tied to the city's website, and each one of those line items has the supporting documentation included with it. So if we're considering some resolution, rather than just seeing resolution number 2016-302, you can click that and you can actually read what the resolution is. Again, it may not mean much to very many people, but I think an open policy is the best policy for for the city. We open under the Texas Open Meetings Act, and so we have to meet a higher threshold. Sometimes the city does work a little bit slower, but we have to follow the processes that are set out, and we can't do things behind closed doors. You know, we can't just meet and hire someone and do a contract. We have to go through due process and put out RFQs and make selections and then take it to council and get it approved. And all of those things, although if it's your issue, we may be moving slow, but for the rest of the public, I think, you know, they like to be able to see us in action and witness what we're doing. And so I definitely support putting the ordinances out there.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. I'll let you get a sip of water for just a second. And now we're going to move to our closing statements. You'll have 2 minutes for a closing statement here. And again, I want to say thank you so much for making the time in your busy schedule to come tonight to help us as voters make an informed decision. So 2 minutes to wrap it up tonight, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. You didn't give the council candidates an opening statement, so you kind of caught me off guard earlier.
Well, I wanted to see if you're as sharp as some people think, so.
I really just would like to thank all of you for coming out to listen to the answers that I have to these questions tonight. You know, from being out and about on the campaign trail, I think these questions do appear representative of what the residents and the voters are thinking about and asking about. I've been the mayor for 6 years. We've accomplished a lot of great things together. You know, our property tax rate is coming down. I know that we have mud taxes and school taxes and other things that add on top of that that make it difficult these days. And so I don't neglect that or discount that at all, but we try to be good stewards of what you've entrusted us with. I think that City Hall at the City of Fulshear is a place that you can go there and you can count on us. You can trust the answer that you're getting. We may not always agree on everything, but we'll shoot straight with you. And that's what we've always promised from the very beginning. We've adopted a comprehensive plan. Again, we have infrastructure projects ongoing. We've extended water and sewer along 1093 for the new high school and the junior high, for the new developments. Our police department, they're phenomenal. They've received recognized status by the Texas Police Chiefs Association. Small cities go through some rough times with their police departments, and I'm very proud of the department that we have. Again, did I do that myself? No, but we've made an effort to hire the best people for the job, and that's our one goal. The most qualified person should get the job, and it's done Fulshear right, but we have a lot more to do. And so I would like to continue as your mayor of the city of Fulshear. The Home Rule Charter, I believe, is an important step in our growth process. It'll allow us to maneuver and be more robust as a city organization, and I think it'll bring back local control to the citizens. Infrastructure, and what can we say? Expansion of 1093, the Texas Heritage Parkway, Katy Fulshear, Huggins. There are so many things that need to be done. We're looking at a master water and sewer plan, and that may not be glamorous, but it's something that'll benefit us long-term to regionalize our sewer plants and our water plants so we don't have too many of those in the future. Community and quality of life, that's why everybody moved here, and so we don't want to ruin that. I moved out here to raise Alyssa and Ty and our family together, and so it's been a great home for us. We've cherished it. We want to keep that small town charm. That's a difficult task ahead of us, but I think if we all work together, we can do that. Keeping our festivals alive, in the downtown area. Again, working together on Keep Fulshear Beautiful. Those are all things that bring us together. And then striving to attract quality economic development. We have the development Fulshear Run. That's starting at the corner of Bodark and FM 1093. And I think that's going to be a mixed-use commercial project that the whole city will be proud of. We'll have mom and pop shops in there, open markets, We're not going to wipe out the farmers market. The developer has agreed to maintain that and to strengthen it. Put an open air park in the middle, the size of 2 football fields. Possibly have a stage for events, and I know Arts Fulshear wants to work with that developer as well. So there are many, many great things that we're doing here in the city of Fulshear. We have a lot more to work on together. I need your help to do that. And so I'm here tonight, again, asking for your vote. April the 25th starts early voting, and May the 7th is our regular election. And before I close, I know I thank my wife, my son for being here, but my mother actually came, and my sister, and she has led a life of service. She may not want me to say this. When I'm 50, that means she's going to be the 8-0, and she still volunteers probably every day of the week with either the nursing home, the American Legion, or the VFW, and she's instilled in me a life of service, and I hope that I've conveyed that to my children and to the residents of Fulshear, because it's going to take us all working together. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and once again, I want to all say thank you so much for making the time to come out tonight. I know that's a difficult thing and a very busy agenda and schedule they have. And I want to remind everyone before we dismiss tonight that early voting begins April 25th right here at the Irene Stern Community Center. The dates are on your packet, and Election Day is on May the 7th, beginning right here in this very room, beginning at 7 a.m. Mr. McCoy, you want to close us out tonight?
Thank you all very much. We want to say on behalf of Commercial State Bank, our sponsors, Center Court Pizza, Rachel the Realtor, thank you very much for your sponsorships. This couldn't have been possible without you. And the committee, thank you so much. You know who you are. Stand up, say hi, don't leave. Let everybody say thank you to you as well. Pastor Mike, appreciate it very much, sir. Coach, looking forward to a winning season. I'll be there. Thank you. Be safe going home, everyone. And Mayor, thank you very much. And thank you to the board of directors. Yeah, I got you.